Okay guys, I'm back at Pedego. I'm hanging out with Paul Auclair, and we're checking out the Platinum Interceptor today, right?
We got both of them right here.
This is top of the line for Pedego. I mean, extra powerful, extra smart. You get some really nice component upgrades, and it comes in the cantilever over here, classic, and then step-thru, right? And slightly smaller frame size on that one. So for people who might not have the same leg reach, the Interceptors over the years have started to come in like what I like to call the mini-ceptor. That's the internal phraseology, right? It's
yeah,
like
that's correct. And it's been really popular too. We've been really surprised about the positive feedback on the 24-inch Interceptor, the mini-ceptor.
I frequently recommend like the big Interceptor over here to people who are taller, heavier, they want the power, they want to move, and they want the throttle. Like it's a pretty cool platform, and it was one of the first that I saw with the lights, and you have the fender upgrade. There's a bunch of different options, but let me just jump into what we're looking at. I believe it only comes in this Platinum Edition color. Is that right?
It is funny. It is the only color we're going to do right now, at least for this year. And
Makes sense.
We might explore some additional options in the future.
Well, one cool thing about that color is it's pretty reflective. So you're going to get seen. I love that you've got a paint matched chain cover right here. Keeps your pants clean, of course. The lights, I mentioned this before. This is Trendo by Spinninga. It's got an integrated reflector. It's LED, aimable. On the back, the light's built right into the battery pack, and that's nice because sometimes they're like on the saddle or the seat, and if you have a coat on, it can hang down and block it. This is way in the rear, so you're definitely, even if you have a bag or just some newspapers with this little spring latch thing, you're gonna be good. Thicker tubing here, so extra strong. And that's one of the things. Sometimes, you know, if you have the clip-on panniers, they might not quite work with this because it comes so close to the plastic on the battery, but Pedego has their own bags, right? You guys sell some accessories?
Yeah. I especially designed a pannier bag to fit.
You did?
I did.
This guy, wow.
So we wanted to make sure that was some feedback that we had gotten. So we've done a good job to make a premium quality rear pannier bag.
Appreciate that. And what was the other thing you did back here, Paul? Because we were just talking about this, and you were like, "Well, we reinforced the rack or something, right?"
So we did add an extra bar right here. To the naked eye, I mean, nine out of 10 people that I asked say, what's the change that you see on the frame? They don't even notice.
They don't notice. It's easy to miss, but I think that it's worth mentioning because that's going to reduce kind of the sway, the flexiness of the battery. It's going to reinforce this, I'd imagine. The battery is like 8.8 pounds for the 4810 volt, but now you have a 4815 volt too.
Yep.
It's like 9.4 pounds.
They added a couple pounds, you're right. And we've gotten, the feedback we've gotten too is we see that people are using these to commute.
Yeah.
And then maybe carrying a little bit more cargo, so we wanted to make sure that they were as strong and robust as possible.
Wow, I definitely appreciate those little nuances over time. This right here, you might notice that extra bar. I believe that's for like panniers. Sometimes they have like a bungee strap that you can use, or you can just use bungees to secure stuff on top. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, and then I love, you were telling me that the batteries are backwards compatible with some of your older like plastic shell, just like this, right?
Yeah, if the battery design looks like this, is compatible with all the units and all the models up until today, and we plan on using that battery pack for a while.
Well, this is a 48 volt system. The motor is internally geared Dapu, 500 watt nominal, like 1024 watt peak output, 45 Newton meters, and you feel it's zippy.
It is incredibly powerful. And that all comes together really well in a great package.
And that's why, back to, I don't know, what's your stated max weight for this, like rider weight?
We say 350 pounds.
That's pretty good. That's even pretty good right there.
But if you've read our magazine, our Magalog, we have the story about Rhonda in there. She weighed 450 pounds when she started riding our bicycles.
Wow. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's like liability and everything, but 350 is more than the other guys say usually. And yeah, like you said, people have definitely done it a little bit heavier than that. Speaking of heavy duty, we've got an EXA form seat post suspension, and I believe this is, what is that, 38.6, or it's thicker.
This one's 28.6.
28.6. Yeah. I was like 30. That's too thick. But it's still, this is bigger than 27.2. Okay, so it's a little bit thicker. You get a little bit of comfort from this little shock thing here, and then the bumpers. And this is the saddle. I don't know if this has changed too much, at least to me. Maybe it's those nuances again, but this has always been a comfortable saddle. It's one of the finer like touch points on the bike.
Yeah, I think this is pretty paramount to our look and our design.
Yeah.
And everybody loves that seat.
It's honestly, like, this is a good saddle. I also like the grips. We got the stitched padded, and they are actually soft. Sometimes they look soft and they're hard. These ones are actually soft. You can see the cruiser bar here. I think you were telling me something about the size of that. Like you guys picked one that's not too big, it's not too small.
We actually specifically designed the handlebars for both these bikes. So both the step-thru and the classic each respectively have their own handlebars.
Okay.
And the reason we did that was we wanted to make sure the reach was comfortable with the design. They don't, their rise isn't as much as our other Interceptor bicycles. So the feel's going to be a little bit different, but it came together really well with the front suspension package and the rapid fire shifter.
That's part of it, okay, because you know, you're adding, I think he was saying 80 millimeter travel. This is an air fork, tends to be lighter. The weight on this bike, like as you see it here, is about 61 pounds. And considering that it's got that heavy duty rear rack and a suspension fork, little things like air fork, that makes a difference. And then I guess it changes the geometry slightly, and so you potentially zipping along a little bit faster. So these bars maybe not being quite so huge. Is that part of the decision? Was that the geometry thing you were just talking about?
Yeah, the control's going to be very responsive with the design.
Yeah.
And it's just your overall hand position is going to be very comfortable.
Okay, cool. I'm going to take a walk here, but wait, back here, these are the 10-speed cassette that Paul was referencing earlier. Looks like it goes up to 36 tooth, and it's Shimano SLX, so it's a little bit kind of an upgrade. Like this is, I don't know if you know all of them, but it's like Tourney, and there's a Levio and a Shera, and then SLX is like, it's higher up.
It's one of the highest ones.
It's one of the highest ones, yeah. So you don't have to worry about tuning it quite as much. It might shift a little bit smoother.
We also have we have a rust-resistant chain on there as well.
I was noticing the color on that, so that's great because it is a beach cruiser. And coming back to kind of the look, the bigger tires, these are the Schwabe Fat Franks. They've got the Active Lag K-Guard. It's sort of like a Kevlar material or something, as I understand it.
Yeah, in the compound, they put a Kevlar material, and then coupled with our slime tubes, the self-sealing. Yeah. It's gonna reduce as many accidents as possible.
Sure, well, and it's not a lot of fun to change tires or whatever if you just wanna have fun. Whereas if you have slime, first of all, maybe you're not gonna get a puncture because of the Kevlar. And then if you do get a slow leak, you can put some more air in, and it's almost like blood, like platelets.
Yeah, it kind of coagulates.
Coagulates, science, right? I love that. Up here, though, we do have quick release on the front wheel, so that's kind of neat. You could take it off and do maintenance a little bit easier if it was the front. The spokes are a little bit thicker, coming back to that heavy-duty design. And check this out, 180 millimeter. These are hydraulic disc brakes. Magura. That's just awesome to see. A lot of times we're looking at Tektro or something else. Magura's, it's a higher end brand. This is an adjustable reach lever. You can see the set screw here, and it has a motor inhibitor. So, you know, if you're panicking for some reason, we're talking all about power earlier, but the drive system on this is fairly nuanced. Regardless, if you need to stop and you ever pull those brakes, the motor's gonna stop, and I think that's key. Speaking of keys, I love that you don't have to leave them in when riding. You used to have to on some of the really old Pedegos and some of the other bikes that I still see, and it's just they jingle around, they get in the way. So I love that you don't have to do that. The battery slides right out, and this plastic case stays, so you can see the line here. So that's kind of a neat feature that it's, I don't know, it just seats really well, it doesn't rattle. It's a nice design. They've been refining it. Even though this looks a lot like the original Pedegos, it's really been improved. Extra long kickstand here, very sturdy, a little bit bigger platform. I mention this sometimes. If you pedal the crank backwards, you can collide it a little bit, and you know, it's like, well, where else do you put it? You can see that the wire down here is, it's kept kind of out of the way and a little bit below the chainstay, and it comes in between the dropout and the disc brake. So a lot of the older electric bike motors, they would have a motor cable protruding over here where the shifter derailleur is, and it's just a lot of extra wires, and if the bike ever tipped, you could bend it and then your motor could stop working. So I really like that it's things like that you might not notice at first glance because they're preserving the style, but that really help you get more out of the bike over time. So these bikes, they do cost a little bit more. I think it was $37.95 for the 10 amp hour battery, and then $4,095 for the 15 amp battery. But again, you get the frame choices and kind of the style thing going on. I feel like we've covered a lot of this. Should we jump into the display, or am I missing anything, Paul?
Along with that price, we do have the new 2-year warranty.
Oh.
So we have 2-year warranty on battery and parts. So we started that January 1st, 2017.
Wow.
And then lifetime on the frame.
So if you ride like Paul and you're worried about the warranty support, of course these guys also have the shops. You know, Pedego has a huge network, and you're global at this point. So
we are.
A lot of different places people are riding them, and you have rentals a lot of times too at the shop. So you could potentially take out, I don't know if they rent the Platinum Edition, but you could probably try one of the other ones.
You absolutely, I think you could probably find one.
Yeah, well, cool. Okay, well with that, maybe I'll point out that they squeezed bottle cage bosses on. I love that. That's important to me because I like to drink water, and you can put a lock here if you want, or a mini pump. Of course, you've also got the bag stuff that we talked about. It's nice little things like that. And also, they've managed to squeeze in a standard size USB port on the base of the display. And that's gonna make it easier for you to bring along some little speakers, or mount your phone, or maybe have some Christmas lights on your bike. This is all the stuff Pedego owners like to do, and it's kind of fun. That's your thing, right? Like, hello, fun. That's their...
So fun.
So we're up here at the display. I'm gonna hold the power button for a couple seconds here. And yeah, comes on. We've got our speed, miles per hour right there. Pedal assist level, it's in 0. So in 0, nothing happens. Like, the throttle is not active. You don't have to worry about accidentally taking off.
Yeah, that's our new pedal sense
The pedal
software.
sense stuff. Maybe you can take it away, Paul. I want to hear about this because it's nuanced.
So the pedal sense software is new software that we've integrated into our bikes for the 2017 model year. And what it is we dove down deep into each of our respective bike models to make sure that our parameters and the feeling was adjusted just perfectly for each bicycle. With the introduction of that, 0 now is essentially a free ride mode on all of our bikes. So that means when you turn it on, you'll get all the displays of the feature, all the feature displays. We'll get functionality, the front and rear lights, but it'll pedal just like a regular bicycle. So no assistive power from the throttle or the pedal assist system at the cranks.
I call that heavy bike mode.
Bike mode.
There's no battery supporting you. It's just a bicycle at that point, but 10 gears. You've got a good range to pedal with. You could still climb. Pedals also very nice Wellgos. I didn't want to take away too much of that momentum you had, Paul, but where do we go from 0?
From 0, now it has up to 6 pedal assist modes.
Okay.
So on this particular bicycle, on the Platinum, 1 through 4 are varying levels of torque assist mode. So based on the respective mechanical gear that you're in, and the pedal assist level you're in, you'll get varying levels of assisted power.
Interesting.
So 1 is about 50%, so on and so forth, up to 4.
So you mentioned the gear. We were talking about the torque sensor before, and I was like, I don't see it. Normally there's a plastic circle with magnets, and then Paul was like, it's integrated inside the bottom bracket. And then a minute ago you were like, depending on the gear you're in, it doesn't measure the gear you're in, right? It's just it's about how hard you're pedaling, like the torque.
Right. So it measures that feedback off the spindle of the bottom bracket.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
So if you shift your gears, it's going to make pedaling harder or easier. And we've adjusted that software to give feedback based on that pedal assist level. So for instance, on some of our other bicycles, like the original Interceptor, if you're in pedal assist 1, 13 miles an hour. It doesn't matter what gear you're in. You're always going to go 13 miles an hour. So this one, you could go a half mile an hour, you could go 20 miles an hour.
Depending on how hard you push.
Yep, depending on how hard you push.
Okay, and then the rest of the way, 2, 3, 4, it's gonna give you a little extra. You still push, you're still getting a workout, but I noticed that it feels more natural. It's not that like 0 on, 0 on.
Yeah, it's a little bit more natural to regular pedaling.
Yeah, it feels good. But for those who, I have a knee injury, so sometimes I don't want to push very hard. I want to rest my legs. And you have the twist throttle, which overrides any of these levels of assist.
That'll override on 1 through 6.
Or 5 and 6. Tell me how those ones work.
So 5 is essentially our travel mode. So that we're going to kick that cadence feature back in, and that's what's found on 5 on our other bicycles. You're going to go 20 miles an hour no matter what.
Okay.
So I like to call that travel mode because say I have a suit on and I need to get to work. It's going to go 20 miles an hour and I can still pedal and I'm not going to get all sweaty getting from point A to point B.
I can't believe that, man. You with a suit. I mean, that's... no, I'm just joking.
Maybe once in a while.
But it's a good point. It's a great point because this is a good potential commuter platform. I often label these as like cruiser and also neighborhood because it's fun. You're cruising around your neighborhood. You're going to the store. You're just visiting with friends. And it's nice when you don't want to get sweaty if it's really hot, as it is now. It's a little bit of a warm day.
It is a little warm
heating
right
up.
now.
Things are heating up. I think that's about it. Let's look at the display one more time. So, down here it says trip. You can hit the set button. It shows you time. and odometer. So you've got a few different things. We've got a battery level indicator. It has a V for, I think, voltage, and there are 5 ticks, so 20% increments. What else can I do with this display? Like, what am I missing here, Paul?
To turn the USB function on and off, we don't have it natively on all the time.
Okay.
You press the set and plus button for a few seconds.
Thank you for that.
Yep, and our USB symbol will come on, so that means that it's live. The really cool thing about the system too is it's from what I've seen and what I've tested, incredibly waterproof. We've submerged these, plugged it in, had no issues. So I'm really happy about the functionality.
All in a day's work. Yeah. Nice, dude. Okay, great. Because a lot of times, I guess if the USB, it might be always on some other systems, and then you might have the phantom power draw and issues like that. So this is what I'm talking about, the details. It's easy to miss stuff. I'm glad I'm with the expert. Should I hop on and ride now?
Yeah,
should I do
absolutely.
That? Okay, I'm gonna hop on this one. I like the step-throughs personally. Will you help me raise the seat? Actually, I tend to, especially when I'm pedaling. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Nice and easy. And you can see down here they have the Class 2 sticker. And so that's a new thing, especially in California, where...
That was required by law beginning the start of this year.
Right, yeah, it's kind of a new thing. And so it's great. You guys are on top of it. And that tells, if anyone ever asks, like, what is that? You're like, oh, it's a Class 2 electric bike.
Yeah, and not to make it come out of the blue for any of our consumers or our retailers, we've been doing the sticker, I think, for over a year already. Yeah, so it's not anything new we've been doing, but
maybe I missed it before. Thank you. I do my best. So we're good. We again, key can come out, but I'm gonna leave it in. And look, it has this little folding feature, so it doesn't like get snagged. I like that. Sweet. Okay, hopping on. Boop. Got the kickstand up there. I'm in free ride mode, as Paul likes to call it. I'm gonna walk this off the curb just so you can, I'm gonna take it down. Look at that, pretty solid. Just bounces because of that tire. It gives you a lot of cushion combined with the saddle and the bars. Like, and now the suspension. Before, a lot of your bikes didn't have suspension. So I was like, well, at least it has the big thick tires and stuff. Now with the suspension on this model, I really like that. And it has lockout. So some people, you do want to sag this right and adjust it, but a lockout is a feature for maybe someone who's getting this bobbing or it's smooth and you're like, I don't need the suspension. So, okay, I'm going to just take it up to like maybe level 4, and this is the torque sensing one, and I'm gonna pedal along and...
Yep, that's our highest level of torque assist.
Right, I like to go fast. Here we go. Look how quiet it is. Much smoother and more fluid than when it's in cadence sensing mode. Like Paul said, that takes you to 20 miles per hour kind of no matter what, and you don't have to like push as much, but it doesn't feel as natural like riding a bike. So I'm gonna do that now. Let's go to 5. Pretty responsive there when I stopped pedaling, but just not as fluid, not as responsive. It's just interesting to have a blend of performance characteristics on a bike like this. And this is my favorite mode because you don't even have to like, look, I'm not even going fast. I'm not even pushing really. I'm just moving my legs for exercise, a little bit of stretching, and the bike's doing the rest. Taking me all the way up, almost to 20 there. Now I wanted to show the throttle mode real quick, going back along, and here I'm gonna do a little, take this down. Okay, got no hands, it's feeling pretty stable. That's something I like to test. And then those disc brakes, hydraulic disc brakes, that's such a big difference. And the triggers here, pretty easy to reach, and you can push the little one forward or back. That's a nice shifter. Okay, here's the throttle. Woo! Oh man, those brakes. Okay guys, you are connected to the step-thru frame. I'm gonna shake it a little bit with the handlebars, and so you can see the frame flex. That's the case with most step-throughs, but especially when you have a battery pack that's mounted high and in the rear. This is a rear-heavy bike. They've kind of always been that way. It's just the style that they like. Also, you can't see it from where you're at, but there's a power switch on the battery. It's like a toggle switch. It's kind of hidden, and I like that because then people won't tamper with it if you're not at the bike. That's also where the charging port is. You can charge the battery on or off the bike, and it has an integrated fuse, so it's pretty nice. Here is the shake test. I can see the rear rack swaying a little bit, and that's sometimes exacerbated if you have a trunk bag or panniers or whatever, but for a lot of people it's worth the trade-off to get that nice step-through design. And I'd say both of the frames have a little bit of frame flex. That's just part of the deal when you're building a bike with the rear rack battery like that. It's most noticeable when you're standing up pedaling like I was there. That was pretty aggressive riding. I also unlocked the suspension fork so you can potentially see that bouncing. Okay, for this ride, I'm going to pedal with assist level 3, and that's torque sensing. And you can listen, and just the motor's quieter. It doesn't come on as abruptly. And then I'll let you know, and I'll switch to cadence sensing. And so you can just see how those differ. I'm also going to stand up while riding, so you really get the torque happening. Okay, now I'm going to change to cadence sensing. So this is level 5 pedal assist. This is the throttle. Nice little brake test there at the end. You know, I actually got a little bit faster than 20 miles per hour a couple times, but I only weigh 135 pounds, so. Hey, Paul, will you hop on the cantilever and we can ride together? Paul's gonna hop on. Check it out. Looking good, bud. Make that nice little circle. Sweet. Hello.
Hey.
What motor are you in?
I'm in 2 right now.
He's in 2. So yeah, he's working a little bit more. The motor's a little quieter. You must be pushing harder now because I hear it.
Yeah, I'm pushing a little bit.
Giving a little bit of muscle. Sweet, man. Well, I think that's splendid. Thank you so much for giving me all the expert feedback. You know, some of those questions earlier.
Absolutely.
Want to come in the shade? We can. Love that. As mentioned before, I do kind of an exhaustive overview. I try to get all the specs and stuff. Pedego, of course, has a great website, but I've measured standover height and length and everything, and then I do like more of a full write-up. I'll see you back at the site, ElectricBikeReview.com, for that. And what is Pedego's website?
Pedego.com.
Wow, nailed it. Okay, thanks, Paul. Have fun and ride safe.
Absolutely.
See you next time.